Hey there, this is Phil from Baseball Card Exchange, and welcome to the Baseball Card Exchange podcast. Whether you're looking or watching us on Spotify or YouTube, we're glad that you're here. And today we're going to be talking about a topic that a lot of people always ask us about, and that is, what is a good strategy to build a personal baseball card collection? And so today we hope to offer some tips, some strategies on how to build a meaningful collection, whether the focus is on set building, collecting a specific player, or just investing for future value. So today we're going to talk about maybe budgeting and research and networking with other collectors to build collections. So I'll just kind of start. We have Steve here with us, but I'll kind of start with something that I collect. I collect autographs. I really enjoyed it, have always enjoyed it. For my first autograph was Mark Grace, right outside Wrigley Field, and I just kind of stared at that ball forever, kept it on my shelf for years until one day I was out of baseballs, and I decided that I was going to
use it. Yep.
I needed to use it, but I was kind of hooked. It was just something I loved doing, and since that time, I built a lot of sets, signed sets, 86 Fleer basketball, 87 Fleer basketball, a lot of the basketball sets because of my love for basketball. And sort of discovered the way that I like to collect. And so today, I know you collect a little bit, but as people that are in the business, it's not like we can collect every cool thing that we can come across.
Correct, yep.
Or else we'd be broke.
Yes, exactly.
So, Steve, what are some of the good strategies of building a card collection that you can be proud of?
Well, the good thing about, card collecting is that you don't need to be rich to enjoy it.
Right.
There's price points for everybody. From our era, set collecting is relatively easy.
Yeah.
If you don't want to even build a nice set, it's relatively cheap. Even if you want to build a nice set and spend some time, you could pick up raw commons over time at fairly good prices. They exponentially grow up if they're graded.
Right.
But, if you can afford that. But, there's still a price point for everybody. Player collections, set collections.
Yeah.
Team collectors.
A lot of times there's introductory price levels that you jump in at. So, for example, you're a Pete Rose collector, and so you need a Pete Rose rookie, and so maybe you get a PSA 1.
Yes.
And
plan on upgrading it one day,
right.
Selling the lower one.
Exactly.
Yep.
So there's set collectors, and then you have various different types of set collectors. You have the old school guys that don't want any cards graded.
Or they will cut it out of the holder.
Exactly.
And put it into their 9-pocket pages.
Yeah. Yep. And sometimes you see the label on the back of the 9-pocket page. And then you have collectors that are collecting a PSA 9 set of whatever, or a PSA 10 set of whatever, or just a near mint set of maybe an older type set. But then you have people that aren't so much set collectors. I was never really a set collector.
I was a set collector, when you could do it.
Right.
With modern products today, I don't think there's set collectors left.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, you can't do it.
No,
can't build it, can't afford it, can't find the cards, can't complete it.
Right.
But when we collected in the 70s, 80s, it was pretty easy to build sets. But it wasn't for some people.
Right. So other people will collect players that they love or teams that they love.
Chicago Cubs only.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so PSA, of course, one of the leaders in card grading, they have registry sets.
Yes.
And
where you can show off your collection and compete with other collectors.
Yeah. So you have people that have team registry sets or set registry sets, so a specific year. Then you have player registry sets.
3,000 hit club registry sets. Yep.
Yeah.
One thing I'd like to say, too, is that, it seems all we talk about anymore is the industry is the value and the money.
Mm-hmm.
The whole industry still boils down to the collectors.
Right.
Without the collectors, we're all gone.
That's right.
As much as it's all a chase now and trying to hit a card that's numbered or autographed, it still comes down to that there are still more collectors. You may not believe that, but, there are still more collectors than investors.
And you've been in business, 30 plus years now. And, I would dare say that you may not be in business right now if you still, a part of you didn't love that collecting part, the kid part of it.
I'd have kept too much of it. And, people always ask me, what's your unopened collection look like? I don't have one.
Wow.
Because that's how I kept the business going, especially during those lean years. You needed to buy it and sell it to stay in business. I couldn't just keep it.
At this past national, I know, people have always asked me, hey, what does Steve collect? Steve's collection. And I said, I don't know if I could say Steve just has a collection. Steve has things that he keeps a little longer.
Yes. Yep.
than,
Yep. I've always pre-war stuff.
Okay.
Ruth, Gehrig, Fox, Mathewson, Young, Cobb. And not in huge grades either. The lower to middle level. It's affordable. I'm always a little leery of the high grade stuff, not being maybe original.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the stuff. I like the stuff that has walked into my businesses where I know it's original. It may be well loved, but that's what I like.
Yeah, and it kind of adds a little, story to the card. For example, the things that I bought through the years that I know there's a story behind it of where I bought it.
Yes. Yep.
And while I bought it for Baseball Card Exchange, every now and again I'll see that you have it still. You haven't
Yep.
sold it.
I'll
I'm
sneak
like,
it out once you get it here.
yeah, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool because I know where this came from. I know who had it, and it means a little more to me than let's take for instance, a 48 Jackie. Even if it's a 3, it might mean more to you than holding on to the PSA 5.
There's
because
stories behind all of them.
Yeah,
Maybe where you bought it, who you bought it from, the
Exactly.
surprise how you lucked into it.
yeah.
So
what does Steve hold on to for a period of time other than pre-war? Anything else?
actually, I've never been an autograph guy.
Yeah.
But ever since you started working for me, you've come in with some really cool items.
Yeah.
And I salt those away too.
Yeah.
Again, it's Ruth,
Yeah.
Cobb,
Right.
Maybe not Mathewson because of the difficulty, Fox, or Jordan,
Yeah.
Tiger Woods,
Right.
The GOATs, especially when they're on unique items.
Right.
Tickets, badges, stuff like that. I'll throw that into the back of the room too and
Yeah.
hold on to it.
Just like I think it was this week or last week, I brought you a Tiger Woods piece that was signed on a badge.
Yep.
And I don't see these things.
Yeah.
And so I said, don't sell this one right now.
Yep. And I said, that's good enough for me. So I took it home and it's in the house somewhere.
Yep. So, yeah, very cool. Yeah. And so people can collect sets. They can collect autographs. They collect all types of certain things. Some of the strategies I would say in building a collection is first, set a budget.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
You don't want to overextend because of a hobby or what you're collecting. Buy something you can afford.
Correct.
You don't want to be making life decisions.
Yes, exactly.
I may not eat for the next 2 months
Yep.
because I want to buy
Yeah.
this.
Now, the best advice is to buy the nicest of
Yes.
an item that you can afford, but still make sure you can afford it.
That's right.
So,
a few years ago, I bought a collection on the West Coast. A very nice guy. I ended up building pallets in his driveway of unopened. And I could tell through the course of the conversation, we had already come to a deal with price. But when I got there, he wasn't very knowledgeable on cards. He didn't collect.
where did he get the stuff from then?
Yeah, so he was a school teacher.
Okay.
And in the 80s, 90s, he saw the increase of value. And
Okay.
matter of fact, 89 Upper Deck, we
Okay,
bought several cases from him. And the fact that Upper Deck was on the West Coast.
Right.
And
More
then
available to him. Yep.
And then not only that, he lived close to Bellingham,
Okay.
where Ken Griffey Jr. played minor league ball.
Okay. Correct.
So that kind of got him into unopened. And so he tucked away unopened in his home. And so it was a 6-figure deal. And building these pallets, I asked him, I said, you don't know much about this. Why did you buy it? And he said, I wanted to diversify my collection. He said, you should have been here when I sold my rifle collection. I said, oh, where's gun collection? And he had one of the best gun collections out there, and it sold for 7 figures.
Right.
So point is, I at the end of the deal, he said he got into trains and he was into all kinds of different collections. I
Okay.
said, you don't know this stuff.
Right.
How did you get into it and buy things that were actually increased in value? He said he called the best dealers
Okay.
in all of these areas.
Okay.
And he said, what would you buy?
Okay.
What would you buy? What is the best thing going? And so he bought the best that he could afford.
Okay.
And he said all of this was derived from advice that his dad gave him. And his dad said this, buy the best and you won't regret it.
Okay.
So
Yep.
that's sort of
That's the same thing the famous Alan Rosen would tell people.
really
Buy the best condition that you can afford. Don't go cheap if you can afford a nicer one.
right.
And it always worked out well for everybody who
Absolutely.
did that.
So yeah, that's a good piece of advice. And I would also say research. Research is very important. You know what you're getting into. We live in the time period now of comps, and we
Yes.
have the
Yep.
the comp army that's out there, and it's funny. Maybe even sometimes it gets a little
Annoying.
annoying, when they're comping everything that you're doing. But at the same time, it's very vital for collectors to
Yes.
do the
Oh, yeah.
research.
To know the market. Yes.
Yeah, especially when it comes to unopened wax,
Right.
something that we specialize in. A lot of times people will say, "Oh, that unopened pack that you have for $400, I can go to eBay and buy it for $120,
Probably resealed.
probably resealed."
Yep.
So make sure that you do the research. And there's plenty of price guides and plenty of companies or comp avenues that you can check the prices of things that are going on. But also do the research before you get into something that you can't complete.
I think the most important thing I'd like to add is we are obviously in the age of social media and
Right.
the internet, and there are numerous collectors groups out there. You can meet some wonderful people
Right.
with the same interests as you,
Yes.
and they help each other. And sometimes they
That's right.
give each other stuff to help the collections. I'm not a big fan myself of internet and social media because I don't have time to even look. From what I understand, people have made some really good friendships,
Correct.
and built collections with these friendships.
Absolutely. So networking is a majorly important.
That's the word I was looking for, networking. And it's much easier today than it was in the 80s.
Absolutely. As you alluded to, I love autographs, and I'll give a plug to what I think is one of the best autograph websites out there. A great hobby too that kids can get into. Sending mail to athletes. There's a website called sportscollectors.net. And I think the price is around $15 a year, and you can be a member, and it gives you addresses to teams and
Wow,
players.
that's impressive, yeah.
Or you can send, autograph request, put a couple cards in an envelope, maybe, throw a $5 bill or $10 bill in there for the athlete and his time, and they send those autographs back to you. And so for several years, I did that. I don't have much time to do that now, but I take a look at the cards that I still have from sending out that mail, and I have a 61 Fleer Lenny Wilkins card signed beautifully by Lenny Wilkins that I got through the mail for, I think, $5. So there's networking websites out there, and so say you're building an autograph set. There's a forum, there's a community board where you can ask people, "Hey, do you have this card that's signed by this person in this set?" And people, for the most part, are willing to help.
Yep. One thing that's impressive at the National Convention every year is there will be a time and a day where a forum of people will meet
Yeah,
who have never seen each other before in person.
right.
And they gather in front of our booth just as a meeting location.
That's right.
And they say, "Hey, I'm so-and-so," as a user ID. And everybody like, "Oh, this is great." They love it. It's more enjoyable than any type of investing they think they're doing at the show.
Yeah.
Trading, networking, making friendships, going out to dinner, repeating this. So
It's not all about money, and I think that's really an important thing about collecting. And something that you had mentioned in a previous episode, it is the collectors that drive this industry. And
Yes.
without the collectors,
Yep.
this industry would not be what it is today.
no, people still think the whole industry is based on the dollar. It's still based on the collector.
Absolutely.
Without them, we wouldn't be here.
Absolutely. And so, we're going to talk about this in another podcast to come about, the sort of the state of the hobby today. But really, it does us well. It does me well to help out a collector that's in search of something. And I know that you love to sell something to a collector.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
As opposed to someone that's just always about the money
Yes,
all
yep.
of the time. These are just a few of the pointers. Network to
Oh, yeah.
find your
Yep.
needs.
And there's lots of ways to do that nowadays.
And by the
Yep.
way, maybe you should say something that you're looking for. I know you're looking for a yellow base path pen.
Yes. Yellow base paths, 56 pins.
Yeah.
And 56 tops pins.
Yes.
I'm not sure off the top of my head. I know I need a Jackie Robinson pin.
Yeah.
Near mint or higher. But yeah, those are two things I do collect.
Yeah, and if you have any early Basketball autographs, I'd love to take a look at that, or any early autographs of any Hall of Famers, like when they were in the minors, when you could actually read what they're writing.
Yes, yep.
We'd love to see that here. There's a lot of different ways that you can collect. So I would just suggest to everyone, purchase within your means.
Knowledge is key.
Knowledge is
in
key
everything
as well.
in life.
Absolutely. So find reputable dealers that'll be honest with you. And if you have any questions, and we can be of assistance to you, please feel free to email us or get a hold of us, and we'll do our best to sort of give you some of the information that we know of. And that's really what these podcasts are about. We want you to have knowledge of the industry more, and talking to Steve and Rick when he's with us, it's just a wealth of knowledge, and they're happy to share it. So,
Oh yeah.
anything else that you want to add?
No, but I'm pretty much accessible to anybody.
Yeah.
My email address. People email me all the times, questions, opinions, anything.
Yeah.
Feel free to do so, and I always answer.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll see a lot of my ads in the Beckett, and it just says for buying. But I have a lot of people that just call and say, hey, I have a question for you. I'm happy to answer those questions. So Baseball Card Exchange is here for you, not just to sell from you and to buy from you, but we're here to educate it. And at heart, we are all collectors here today.
Yep.
Well, thanks for joining us today. I hope this helped, and we will see you next time on the Baseball Card Exchange podcast.